Hello everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Mailbox, where you people ask me questions, and I do my best to answer them. Or, go off on a tangent after having tried to answer it, and 20 minutes later wondering what the hell our question was in the first place. But anyway, later than usual it's been almost 2 weeks, I suppose, probably since the last Mailbox. I apologise for that, but I've been tremendously busy, and I haven't had time to actually put one together. So, yeah. This Mailbox also is probably not going to be a very long one, simply because I'm incredibly ill at the minute. I really am. You might even be able to tell by the sound of my voice right now. So, yeah, I'm full of painkillers. I'm chowing down on some strepsils that one of my housemates kindly donated to me. And generally feel pretty crap, so whatever. However, it's everything's going all okay, and I'm gonna have to start off this week's Mailbox, I think, with a bit of a vloggy kind of a ramble before we get to the actual questions, just because I feel it demands it. Really. So yeah, as some of you may be aware, I moved into halls at university last week. It's now officially, as of yesterday, been a full 7 days since I got here. I absolutely love it here. I think it's brilliant. Having lots of good fun. Because people will undoubtedly ask, even though I've answered this before, I am at the Norwich University of the Arts, and I'm studying games design, so there you go. That's where I am, that's what I'm studying. Anyway, it's good fun. However, I just have not had very much time at all to put into making videos whatsoever. I put up that War Thunder video, which I managed to make because I've like I said in that, all I've literally had time to do at the minute is play War Thunder arcade battles, and it's all I've been able to do because I just don't have the time and spare at the minute. And the only reason I got to play those arcade battles was because I've been ill, and therefore I haven't been actually doing much other than being ill. So, yeah, basically, I did upload a Fallout video yesterday, but that was one that was pre-recorded, and I just needed to render it. But again, I haven't had much time for rendering either, unfortunately. So, yeah, I do apologise, but I just haven't had the time. And it is in my best interest to try and get this channel as active as possible, and that's what I intend to do. However, right at the second, it's proving a little tricky, a little bit difficult. Most nights when I would have been recording normally or something like that, or rendering or whatever, I have been, well, just out in town. It was Freshers Week, for those of you who are unaware. I don't know what you maybe call it in America, but here we call it Freshers Week. It's the week you arrive, basically, at university, and typically it involves, well, going into the university every day to do your university stuff, but following that, pretty much every evening you go out drinking until very late at night, which is what I was doing. It's kind of why I'm ill, basically. Oh, apologies, I had to edit that out there, sorry. I've been coughing like crazy, got a sore throat. I'm in a full Walter White mode at the minute, coughing up my lungs. It's not fun. Anyway, so that's what's been going on, and I apologise for the lack of videos. I'm going to be, like I said, trying to step it up a bit more now though. Now I've got settled in and all that kind of stuff. And I will level with you guys, and I will be completely honest that now more than ever, the actual revenue that is generated by my channel is actually incredibly important, for the simple reason that I don't have a lot of money to live off at the minute. I have about at the minute, apologies again, you're gonna have to have, I'm afraid there's gonna be like little infrequent breaks in the video there, like that, where I've sort of launched into a bit of a coughing fit. But anyway, so sorry. I'm really sick. There's nothing I can do. So anyway, what the hell was I saying? I've completely forgot. Oh, right, yeah, no. Basically, I've worked out basically the money I've got from the government as part of my student loan and my grant as well, which is the money I get from the government that I don't actually have to pay back. And I've subtracted from that the cost of my rent for this first 3 months or so. And I basically have, based on just the money I get from the government, I have about 500 quid to last me until January, which is not fantastic, to be honest with you. It's enough to get me by food-wise. I'm not going to starve to death by any stretch of the imagination, but when it comes to other stuff, resources for my course, just general beer money, I guess, and also the kind of maintenance costs that go into running this channel, for example, like replacing broken equipment, new software, that kind of thing. I'm going to need a new external hard drive at some point in the future, that sort of thing, and at some point or another I'm going to have to get a new graphics card because the one I've got at the minute doesn't really cut it. So, yeah. Basically, the money I do get from this channel, and I'm not at liberty to discuss how much I do get from this channel before anyone does ask. There is in fact a clause in my contract with TGN which prevents me from doing so I can't tell you how much I earn. For those of you who are potentially unaware of that as well, I am actually... This channel is in fact partnered with TGN, which is a YouTube partner network. And basically every, I think it's every 10,000 views, 10,000 monetized views, so that's basically every 10,000 people that watch an advert that appears on one of my videos. So if you're one of those naughty people that uses adblock, then I'm afraid I don't get anything at all from your views, and you're perfectly at liberty to do that. I'm not going to say, damn you, you horrible people, stop using adblock, because you know, that's your decision. But just be aware, because a lot of people aren't aware, that I get absolutely nothing if you use the ad block on my videos. So, but anyway, basically the money I get from this now is suddenly gone from being just sort of like this useful spending money that came in every month to being pretty much the only money I'm going to have available for doing stuff like running this channel, like buying new games, like buying new software, replacing old hardware, getting new hardware, all that kind of gubbins. And yeah, it's become quite important. So as a result of that, I really do need to step things up. I need to put out more videos more frequently, as much as I possibly can. That means you're going to be seeing more of probably and it's just something I really kind of hate to do, because I generally tend to do the videos I enjoy doing the most, and that's pretty much going to be true anyway, I think, going forward, just because I don't like forcing myself to do something I don't enjoy, no matter how much money it gets me. But I'm going to be focusing on getting as much Skyrim out as possible, maybe some Oblivion at some point when I get back to that, Fallout as well. I'd love to do more War Thunder, but people don't watch it quite as much as I wish they did, and that's fair enough, you know. People watch what they want to watch, but I will have more of that going forward, simply because, again, it's one of those games where you can, you know, you could just load up an arcade battle, play it for 10 minutes in between doing other stuff like work or whatever. So it's incredibly convenient for me to actually do those videos, but so they're not by no means going to come to a stop. The internet situation over here in Norwich, by the way, for those of you curious, is not quite as bad as I thought it was, but it's still not brilliant. So yeah. Anyway, that's pretty much it, really. I'm just saying, just to sum up, I'm sorry for the lack of videos. There is a good reason for it. And yeah, things are going great, but money is kind of getting a bit on the tight side. At least it's on the tight side for someone like me who runs a YouTube channel as a, well, I guess a job, I suppose. So yeah, believe it or not, this thing kind of has its running costs. I mean, It's nothing compared to back when I started and I was using very basic equipment and very basic software and stuff like that. But these days I'm using all sorts of crap to get my videos rendered and recorded and all sorts of things. I mean, you think about the amount of editing and stuff that goes into the videos I do now compared to my old More Oblivion ones, where I basically just pressed a button and started recording and talking, and then I'd upload it later after it compressed. That's no longer the case anymore. It's way more complicated than that. So, okay, so moving on. Now that Gubbins is out of the way, thought I'd keep people posted on how things are going anyway. So, but now all that's out of the way, let's move on to some questions. And I'll try my best to answer them as well as I can, but you know, I'm feeling pretty crap. It's a bit of a battle to just do a standard commentary at the minute. It really is. Just because my voice is on the brink of being completely lost, and yeah. Well, anyway, I can't go for more than 5 minutes without coughing either. That's also a bit of a problem. But anyway. So anyway, yeah, let me stop, sorry, procrastinating, let's get on with this. First couple of questions come from JJ2 Gamer. He asked this about a week ago, I believe, on the comment section for the last Mailbox video. He's got two questions, the first of which is, what is the name of your TOGII? Now, for those of you who don't know, the TOGII is a tank in the game World of Tanks, and for those of you who, well, are unfamiliar with World of Tanks, or at least unfamiliar with the TOGII, it's just this gigantic premium tank which you have to pay real world money to buy in the game. And it's often regarded as a bit of a joke tank because it's very, very slow, it's absurdly big, and it's just a bit, it's kind of silly, but people like to use them, and I'm one of them. The other Jingles, who occasionally I mention on here, for those of you who don't know, he's the Mighty Jingles, and he does World of Tanks and War Thunder videos. Big fan of his. I think he's a great guy. He does some quality content, but he once did a couple of videos on the TOG and the benefits of what you can get from using the TOG in what's called a platoon, which is where you pair up with another friend in game and you basically just charge around, joining the same games together and causing general havoc, which is what you do with the TOG. You get TOG platoons, and me and my stepbrother actually. We saw these videos and we thought this was brilliant. We have to give it a go. So I forked out some money to buy us both a pair of TOGs, and we went around in a TOG platoon. Two-man TOG platoon, and just sort of had a ridiculous amount of fun charging around in those things. So yeah, I have a TOG too. I assume you noticed that from one of the other videos I did. Yeah, one of the other Mailbox videos I did with the World of Tanks footage in the background. So yeah. As for what its name is, well, we bought our TOGs in a pair, so they kind of come as a pair. They're like sister ships in a way. And ship is the right way to describe it, in all fairness. So my TOG is called the Elusive, believe it or not. Yes, I am aware of the irony. In fact, that was quite kind of the point. And my stepbrother's TOG, I believe, is called Agility, which, again, anyone who's used the TOG or is familiar with the TOG will appreciate the irony there. So yeah. I'm sure most of you here will probably all of it will have gone completely over your heads because you don't play World of Tanks. But for those of you who do play World of Tanks, yeah, my TOG is called the Elusive, sister ship of the Agility. So yeah, oh my god, I love my TOG. I should really play it more often. Anyway, so thank you for that. His other question was, have you ever played Redguard and Battlespire? And if you did, what did you think of them? And the answer is, I haven't played either of them, so I'm sorry. Can't give you an opinion. Okay, so moving on. The next question for today comes from The Greater. And he asks, how far north have you been? And would you say that the north is far better than the south? Well, as for the first part of that question, cheeky bugger. The first north I believe I've been is Yorkshire, specifically Whitby. around, you know, the Yorkshire moors and all that. That is the furthest north I believe I have been, and it was a lovely place. It definitely was. Fond memories of it. Also been to York itself, which again is a great place. So as for whether or not I'd say the north is far better than the south, I don't know. That's difficult to say, isn't it? Because I'd say maybe on the whole, I don't know. It's a mixed bag, isn't it? Because you go to Yorkshire. Yorkshire is brilliant. Yorkshire is fantastic. Everyone there is really friendly. It's kind of like Wales, just without the silly accents, and the daft road signs. Sorry to any Welsh people watching. I've been to your country many, many times. I do like it, but your road signs are just utterly daft. Yeah, no, Yorkshire's great, but then you've got, like, you know, Newcastle. I mean, come on, guys. You can't go around saying the north is better than the south when you've got Newcastle. And yeah, just like 600 people from Newcastle just unsubscribed to my channel. I know. I'm sorry, guys. Oh dear. I'm only teasing, really. I'm sure it's a lovely place. So yeah, but the south again. Well, yeah, the south is a bit kind of bleh in its own way as well. But then you've got places like Norfolk, which is lovely. So, which is where I am now. So. Yeah, difficult to say, isn't it? Difficult to say. And with that, I shall continue on to the next question without having given you a firm answer. See what I did there? Yeah. Anyway, right, anyway, next question comes from Flammable Mango. What is your favourite battle in World War II? He asks. Well, favourite battle in World War II? Oh, there's so many big battles to choose from. I don't know, probably the Battle of Britain, I suppose, if you really want to call it a battle. Well, I suppose you could call it a battle. A lot of the battles in World War II were very, very long, extended affairs, so... Why the Battle of Britain above all the others? Well, I don't know. First one that sprang to mind as soon as I read this question, to be honest, but... I don't know, there's something very interesting about the Battle of Britain. Something almost kind of weirdly surreal about the whole thing. It's like, it was a battle, of course. But unlike a lot of the other battles in World War II, it was fought purely with aircraft. There were no infantry involved and very few ships even. You know, it wasn't like, say, Midway, where it was all about fleets. Or Stalingrad, where it was very much a combined arms kind of a deal. No, the Battle of Britain was fought purely between Fighter Command, the RAF's Fighter Command, which pretty much was just consisted of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fighter aircraft, versus the Luftwaffe, which consisted of its bombers and fighter escorts, and that was the entire battle. And you had this very surreal kind of thing where you see paintings and photographs of it where, like, certainly up until the Germans switched from bombing airfields to bombing cities, you had this weird sort of scenario where life was kind of going on in Britain sort of vaguely undisturbed, you know, within the limits of what the war would actually allow at the time. But meanwhile, up in the sky, you could see every single day, if you lived around like Dover and Kent, you could see the air battles going on all over the place. Fighter aircraft zooming around up high, vapor trails all over the place. Occasionally, pilots would come down in farmers' fields. You know, aircraft would crash here and there. Must have been very strange, very, very, very strange indeed. I look out my window right now and imagine what it'd be like if just one day suddenly there was a gigantic air battle going on over Norwich, and yet everyone in Norwich was sort of going about their daily business as they always would, just with this big air battle going on overhead. There's something wonderfully bizarre about that. But also, you know, I don't know, the Battle of Britain has always just captured my imagination completely. I love aircraft and airplanes, and World War II aircraft in particular. And, you know, when it comes to stuff I learned about World War II when I was a kid, the Battle of Britain was right up there at the top. It was one of the first things I really got interested in. I watched the old film The Battle of Britain, from like the 70s, I believe. It had like Michael Caine in it, Christopher Plummer, a whole crap load of other people, loads and loads of big names in it, and it's a really great film. It's incredibly long, it's an absolute epic, and some people might find it a bit boring, honestly, but I always loved it, mainly because it was such a faithful retelling of the Battle of Britain, and it didn't glamorise it at all, like a lot of films of that period sort of did. Ever since I kind of watched that, I became slightly obsessed with World War II aircraft. And so obviously I think the Battle of Britain naturally is going to be my favourite battle of the Second World War, which is a bit of a weird thing to say because battles are horrible, horrible things, and so are wars, but in terms of something I find the most interesting, yeah, the Battle of Britain's right up there. There's plenty to choose from though. You've got Midway, you've got Normandy, you've got, you know, the Blitzkrieg, you've got, you know, Stalingrad, the Siege of Leningrad, so many battles in World War II's history that you could study for just years. But for me, the Battle of Britain was always my kind of favourite, if you want to call it that. So, anyway, moving on. Missy Ann apparently has 2 questions. First is, what is your opinion of Americans? And please use more than one word in your answer. Well, alright then. So that's already more than one word. Huh. I don't really know what you're expecting here, honestly. I have not met very many Americans in person. I've met plenty over the internet, but the internet's such a really kind of awful way of judging what people are like, because everyone on the internet is a bit of an arsehole to some degree. Some more than others, obviously, but that's just the nature of the medium, if you want to call it that, I suppose. But in reality, in like real life, if you want to call it that, I guess, I've only met a couple of Americans at most that I can remember, and they were all lovely, lovely people. So, yeah, if I'm going to base my opinion on all Americans everywhere on a few chance encounters with some American people, which I'm not going to do because that would be a stupid thing to do, but if I was going to, I would say Americans are lovely people. So there you go. Second question is, who is your favourite musician or band? Well, don't really have a favourite, honestly. I've answered this before, like a long, long time ago, one of the first Q&As I did. But I don't really have a favourite band or musician. It really depends on what mood I happen to be in at the time. If you want to go into stuff I've listened to just the most, I've probably been listening to Iron Maiden for a very, 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 very long time. Ever since I was in school, I've been listening to Iron Maiden, and I still enjoy listening to it, honestly. You know, I'm fully aware Bruce Dickinson can't sing to save his life. That's sort of why I like him, though. I love the fact that he's got the balls to just go up there and do it anyway, you know. Plus, he's a really cool guy, outside of being in a heavy metal band. So, you know, I like Iron Maiden. I've got plenty of their albums lying around still. But there are plenty of other bands that I do enjoy. But I have the longest history with those guys, if you want to call it that. It's difficult to say they're my favourite, certainly. But, you know, if you want an answer, that's the best I can give you, I suppose. Anyway, so, yes, I know plenty of you now thinking, oh, Jiggles, you have horrible taste in music, and well, screw you. Sorry. That's just what I happen to listen to. Right, okay. Next question comes from SSJ Protector. Might have answered the question of yours before. Well, you know, if so, fair enough. If you ask good questions, then I'll answer them. It doesn't matter who asked them and how many times. But anyway, so he asks, as a developer of RPGs, who do you prefer, the people from Bioware or Obsidian? And I suppose it's kind of handy that you said the people from, as opposed to the development studio itself, because the people at those places have come and gone quite a lot over the years. Obsidian itself is populated by a lot of people who used to work at Interplay, you know, behind the Fallout games, and Black Isle. So, you know, and obviously Black Isle and Bioware worked together to create Baldur's Gate, for example. So, sometimes very difficult to differentiate who's responsible for what, but way I see it, I look at Bioware and Obsidian like this when it comes to their RPGs. Bioware are pretty damn good at creating characters. That's what these guys do. They make fantastic characters that are really, really memorable and likable, and sometimes not likable at all, but, you know, memorable all the same. Very well written, fantastic dialogue, all that kind of stuff. Obsidian, on the other hand, they wrote some pretty fantastic characters. Probably not as memorable or as well known as Bioware's ones, but the main thing I feel Obsidian are great at is creating good stories. That's not to say Bioware don't make good stories. The Mass Effect trilogy is good. The original KOTOR is good. Baldur's Gate is good, but the thing is, at the end of the day, it's all very par for the course. I mean, you've probably seen people have kind of jokingly put up these Bioware story creation guide, grid table things, basically, where people pointing out the very, very noticeable similarities between the stories in a lot of the Bioware games that have been made, the way they're structured and so on and so forth. And it's fairly true. I mean, the big draw for Bioware's games has never been their story or plotline. It's been their characters, really, and the RPG mechanics and all that kind of stuff, and the replay value that they offer. You look at a game like Dragon Age, it's probably the perfect example. The basic general gist of the plot and the structure of it is very, very, very similar to a lot of the games they made beforehand, but people constantly come back to Dragon Age because they had good characters, and there are so many ways to end that game and so many different ways to play through it, you know. So, how Obsidian, on the other hand, and in many ways this isn't actually Obsidian as a development studio specifically, but rather they, as SSJ Protector put it, the people from Obsidian. So we're going back to sort of Black Isle and Interplay at this point. Those guys have written fantastic stories. Like if you like Planescape Torment, for example, which a lot of people view as being the best story ever created in a video game. I wonder if that's genuinely true, but yeah, it's a very, very, very good story. You never know quite where it's leading, and it has plenty of twists and interesting turns, and it doesn't feel like when you play a Bioware game, for example, like Dragon Age, you know pretty much how this is going to end. You get to a point when you're playing a Bioware game, even for the first time, where you think, right, okay, this is probably the final area I get to, which will lead towards the main final confrontational area with the big final boss, which will lead to the end of the game. So I should probably get all my NPC conversations with my party members out of the way at this point, so that I don't miss anything, because that's what I often tend to do when I'm playing those games. I think, right, okay, I better get some of this stuff out of the way, like these side quests, all these companion side stories and stuff out of the way, because I have a feeling that pretty soon we're going to get to the final stretch, and that'll be it for the game. Whereas with Planescape Torment, it didn't feel like that at all. I felt like I was going on this kind of really unpredictable journey. There wasn't any degree of predictability to it, as far as I could tell anyway. That's what I kind of loved about it. And the old Fallout games are very much like that as well. I have to admit, I've not completed Fallout 2, but again, those games are interesting not only because they had a good story, but they were very, very non-linear about the way they went about doing it. You playing as the Vault Dweller or the Chosen One were very much left to your own devices and encouraged to use your own initiative in pushing the story forwards. when you go off, sent off to look for the water chip, or in the second one where you're sent off to go look for the Gek, you know. You could quite easily have gone on to like a walkthrough or something and looked up what exactly you had to be doing next, but part of the fun of it was actually figuring out on your own where you needed to go, just to go around, ask questions, find out where on earth you needed to be going, and that's something very, very interesting, and that's something that I've never really, I don't think, seen adequately recreated in any game that I've seen, honestly. You probably would have the potential to be able to do that in the Bethesda's games, to some degree. Well, not really, I suppose, actually, but to some degree there was an element of non-linearity in the style of the old Fallouts in Fallout 3, because obviously, instead of doing Moriarty's little test or whatever to gain his trust and get information on where your dad has gone in that game, and then running off to GNR and helping Three Dog out with that, you could actually, if you happen to wander into Rivet City, you could and happen to meet Dr. Lee, you could actually skip a good deal of that first opening part of the main quest in a way that actually made perfect sense. If you would just happen to be lucky enough to wander into Rivet City and run into her, then that little encounter would occur and you would be sent on your way. You wouldn't be sent back in a really sort of convoluted, silly way, and like you often are in these Bethesda games, where you have to go back and do all the Moriarty bollocks and the GNR rubbish. Anyway, in fact, I believe if you go to GNR after having already been to Rivet City, you still get to do the quest with the, you know, going in to get the radio antenna thing from the Museum of History, but or Museum of Technology, wasn't it? But Three Dog actually, his entire dialogue tree sort of completely changes as a result of it. He actually offers you a different reward and that kind of thing. So you know, that's something I quite like, and that's kind of, it's a very watered down, if you like, version of the kind of gameplay relating to the narrative that you got from the old Fallout games. So anyway, getting back off this ridiculous tangent I managed to put myself on somehow, and getting back to the original question, yeah, it's difficult to say who I prefer, but what I'm going to say, and this is obviously based entirely on personal preference, but I think I probably prefer Obsidian, simply because I value an interesting story, I think, really more than just interesting characters. There's no reason you can't have both, of course, and Obsidian's games have been full of very interesting characters. KOTOR 2 had some really interesting ones, Planescape Torment had some great ones, and you know, and so on and so forth. New Vegas had some fantastic ones, actually, now I think about it, actually. God, those guys really pulled out the stops. When it came to writing the characters and the companions specifically for New Vegas, I think the guys at Obsidian just went into full, oh my god, we're working on a Fallout game again, this is the most awesome thing ever, and they just pulled out all the stops and just went for it. Kind of, I think, embarrassingly showed Bethesda how it was done in that regard. And embarrassing is the right word, really, when you consider the way companions work in Skyrim compared to the way they work in New Vegas. It is shocking, really, how much better New Vegas' companions and companion system is compared to Skyrim's, when Skyrim is supposed to be the much later, much improved, more matured game, I suppose, if you like. Anyway, I am going to say that I prefer Obsidian, but that's just because I enjoy a good story more than I enjoy simply hanging around with nice characters. That's just me, though. Some of you will be the complete opposite, I'm sure, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. So it's all subjective at the end of the day. Anyway. Right, penultimate question here now. How did you meet? This is from Marcus Thompson, by the way. His question is, how did you meet Veriax, Inferno Canuck, Gopher, and Squee? Do you know them personally or only online? Well, the easy answer to that is nope, I don't. know them personally. In fact, as a result, it's very difficult for me to say how did I ever meet them, because I mean, you know, I haven't met any of them, technically speaking. I've obviously spoken to Veriax before, and Inferno, and Squee as well. I've never actually spoken to Gopher before. I don't know, for some reason people seem to get this impression that I know Gopher somehow, but I don't. I just enjoy his videos. I believe he left a comment on one of the dumbing down videos I said, where he said it was a good video, and that was pretty much all he said. If he has ever mentioned me in another video since then, I have no idea, because I haven't seen it myself. But yeah, well, yeah, in case any of you were under the impression that I somehow know Gopher, I don't. I really don't. Anyway, I love his videos. I love the stuff he does. He's a very big inspiration in a lot of the stuff I do, as you can undoubtedly tell, I'm sure. But I've never actually had the privilege of meeting the guy, let alone, you know, well, speaking to the guy, let alone actually meeting him. He lives in Norway, for Christ's sake. I'm not going to Norway anytime soon. So, you know, anyway. As for the other guys, well, you know, obviously, like I said, I haven't met them, but I've spoken to them, and I couldn't honestly tell you how or why. I guess I started off my YouTube channel, and Veriax happened to watch one or two of my old More Oblivion videos, and he left me a few nice messages saying he thought they were good. And since then, as my channel has grown and stuff like that, I've been in more frequent contact with them. I've sort of turned up to their streams, said hello, that sort of thing. I've occasionally spoken to some of them on Skype. As anyone who's got me on Skype will tell you, that I never bloody log into it, and I apologise for that, by the way. I really should log into it more often. I just sort of kind of forget it's there, to be honest. You know, often when I use Skype, it's just specifically because I want to talk to some specific person. In fact, most of the time I just use it as a sort of less complicated alternative to TeamSpeak. That's pretty much what I use it for. If you see me logged into Skype and I'm set to Do Not Disturb, it's because I'm in an extended voice call with someone because we're playing a game together or something. So, yeah. So, you know, there you go. I couldn't tell you. I don't have any interesting anecdotes or anything, if that's what you're after, at all. No. I've just I couldn't honestly, thinking back, tell you any specific point where I suddenly met these guys or just started speaking to them or anything like that. It was just a sort of natural thing. I'm within that little community of Let's Players, and as a result, we kind of just sort of gradually become more familiar with one another and speak to each other and that sort of thing. I just, you know, there's nothing particularly interesting or special about that, I'm afraid. So, sorry to disappoint if you were looking for some sort of interesting and hilarious story behind how I met any of them. No. Nothing really to say there. So anyway, right, okay, so final question. It comes from Matthew NG. Yeah, Matthew NG. And he asks, do you own a console? And if so, what console? And the answer is I do own a console, actually. Yeah, I do. I own a PS2. I bought it second hand, actually, not too long ago. And I like it a lot. It's good. Got a whole bunch of games for it. I haven't tried all of them out yet, actually, but it's a nice little console, and I quite like using it. Prior to that, I used to have an Xbox 360, and before that, I had one of the original Xboxes, both of which I played and enjoyed a certain amount. But once I really got into PC gaming, there was kind of no going back. Honestly, I never really saw the benefit of having an Xbox after having got a proper gaming PC at the end of the day. So eventually, I sold my Xbox 360. My old Xbox sadly does not work anymore at all. It's a piece of crap. That's basically just completely broken. I might have thrown it away, in fact. So yeah, I have a PS2, and there you go. That's my my consoles. I had a fairly enjoyable experience with all of them. Still using the PS2 occasionally, but generally speaking, I am a PC gamer first and foremost. My PS2 for me is really just a kind of a little distraction that I occasionally engage in. It primarily at the minute it's just for every time I fancy playing an Ace Combat game, I just boot it up and play it. So and for games that sometimes I've, for example, like Beyond Good and Evil, which for some reason I've always had trouble trying to get to run on my PC, even the goodoldgames.com version. So eventually I basically just went ahead and bought it on the PS2, and it ran without any problems whatsoever. So yeah, yeah, that's all there is to say, really. I got it mainly originally because I was going into games design, and I kind of it dawned upon me that I hadn't played a lot of Japanese games. So anything like, just everything from like Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy to, well, Ace Combat as well. And I decided in the interest of just educating myself, I actually needed to play some of that shit. So that's why I got the PS2 in the first place. So there. That's basically all I have to say with regards to that, I guess. Oh yeah, he does have one more question, which is, what are your top 5 YouTubers? And well, I can't give you a top 5 of YouTubers because, well, first of all, I don't really like playing favourites like that. Seems a bit in poor taste in a way. But also because I don't have like a top 5 YouTubers. I don't rank people one above the other at all. People have their own specialties and they put out their own specific type of content, and I watch them for that. For example, you have take 2 fairly big YouTubers. I say fairly big, but well, it's all relative, isn't it, really? But anyway, larger than me anyway. The other Jingles, the mighty Jingles, aka Bohemian Eagle. You have him, and you have, say, Gopher, for example. They both have a similar number of subscribers. They put out a similar number of videos per week. Jingles, however, he does... pardon me. He does World of Tanks videos and War Thunder videos, primarily. He also does occasionally some other stuff. I believe he did a Skyrim Let's Play at one point or another, actually. But mostly he does War Thunder content and he does World of Tanks content. That's what he does. And Gopher, on the other hand, for example, he does his mod sanctuaries, and he does his how-to videos, and he does his Let's Plays as well of the Fallout games and the Elder Scrolls games. And that's what he does. And can I honestly say I rank one above the other? Absolutely not. They both produce completely different stuff. If I want to watch some War Thunder videos, I go to Jingles. If I want to watch some Skyrim or some New Vegas, I go to Gopher. And that's just the way it works, They both have their own particular niche, and within that niche they have their own particular style. And therefore I find it very, very difficult to rank one YouTuber above the other at all. If you're looking for a list of YouTubers that I recommend and that I follow, then you can see that on my channel page. It'll be in a little sidebar bit, like I recommend so and so, and it's all completely randomized. There is an option to shuffle it, basically, so every time you refresh the page it'll show you a different selection. If you want to see the full list, you can go onto the About tab on my channel page and it'll show you a full list at the bottom. And those are all the people I follow and I enjoy watching the videos of. So yeah, but I don't have a top 5, if you want to call it that. So there you go. And that's basically it for this week. That's all the questions we have. This may have been a bit shorter than normal, I don't know. It looks like it might be going on 45 minutes at the minute, so I suppose that's not bad at all, considering. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to sign off now. Apologies if my commentary has been a little bit lackluster today, but that's just because I feel like crap. So I'm sure I'll be getting better pretty soon. I think I already kind of am on the mend at the minute. I just need to get over this cough I've got at the minute, because it's pretty much preventing me from doing any serious video recording at the minute at all. I mean, the number of the amount of editing I'm gonna have to do to this, I can already tell, is just gonna give me a goddamn headache. Because although you guys won't have noticed it, well, you may have noticed it, but you won't have heard it. I burst into multiple coughing fits just trying to do this video. So yeah, that's gonna take a lot more editing than it may potentially be worth. So I'm going to keep uploading stuff I already have once I've got it rendered, so there'll be more Fallout. I've got a little bit more Skyrim to go. I think I've got about possibly 3 more episodes of that I can render and send off to you guys. And I have 1 or 2 more War Thunder, potential War Thunder videos I could do. I just need to add some post-match commentary to them. Like I did with the last one, and I have a considerable collection of old Baldur's Gate videos actually, which I could throw you guys' way if you're interested in them. They're not very long. I think they're about 20-25 minutes each in length, like the old ones were. It's a continuation of that Let's Play basically. I had a lot of it saved up for instances like this where I'm running a bit low on content and I have nothing else to put out, and the great thing about those is, well, 1, they're already rendered, and 2, they take like literally about 20 minutes or half an hour to upload. They take absolutely no time at all to upload because they're a very small file size. Unlike, say, my Fallout videos, which are about anywhere between 3 to 4 gigabytes in size, these Baldur's Gate 2 videos are about 300 to 400 megabytes in size. So I can upload those quite a lot. So if you guys are interested in seeing more Baldur's Gate, then I can upload some more of that for you, and you can get some more videos of Marcus and his little gang marching up and down the Sword Coast. So there you go. That's pretty much everything, I believe. So have a nice week, everyone, and I'll see you all again pretty soon, or at least you'll be seeing my past self fairly soon, and then you'll be seeing the current self a little bit further after that, after I've got over this cold. So yeah, ta-da everyone, thanks for watching, and ciao for now.